In a split second, a rogue cop plants drugs in a black woman's car, smirking at his power play. Unbeknownst to him, she's the director, and her dash cam is rolling. Secrets unravel, tables turn, and justice ignites in this explosive tale of betrayal and redemption. Buckle up. The sun bled orange across the horizon, painting the cracked asphalt of Route 17 in Fairview, Virginia, with a deceptive warmth. Dr. Angela Harper, 45, gripped the wheel of her sleek black SUV, her tailored navy suit crisp. Despite the long day, her D-badge tucked in her purse was a silent testament to her authority as the newly appointed director of the Drug Enforcement Administration. Angela's sharp eyes, framed by glasses she'd worn since her undercover days, scanned the road. She was returning from a grueling D.C. meeting on the opioid crisis strangling rural towns like Fairview. Her dash cam, a relic of her field agent instincts, blinked steadily, recording the quiet stretch ahead. Angela's rise to the top hadn't been easy. 20 years of outsmarting cartels, dodging bullets, and navigating systemic bias as a black woman in law enforcement out tonight. She just wanted to get home to her daughter Maya, a college freshman who texted her earlier about a sociology paper on justice. Officer Derek Malone, 32, leaned against his cruiser on the shoulder of Route 17, his jaw tight with resentment. 8 years on, the Fairview PD had left him bitter, passed over for promotions while less ambitious colleagues climbed. His buzzed hair and sharp features gave him a boyish charm, but his eyes held a calculating edge. Malone craved a big bust. To impress Sheriff Tom Carver, a good old boy who dangled promotions like bait. When Angela's SUV glided by, its DC plates gleaming, Malone saw his chance. To him, she was an outsider, likely affluent, probably soft, perfect for his scheme. He flicked on his cruiser's lights, red and blue, slicing through the dusk, and pulled her over. Angela eased to the roadside, her posture calm, but her senses razor sharp. She'd been stopped before too many times to count. Each one a reminder of the world she navigated. Her hands stayed at 10 and 2, her expression neutral. Malone approached, boots crunching gravel, his flashlight blinding her momentarily. "License and registration," he snapped, his tone laced with unwarranted hostility. Angela handed over her documents with a polite, "Good evening, officer," her voice steady. Malone barely glanced at her ID, his eyes scouring her SUV's interior. Her composure grated on him. She was too poised, too unbothered. He decided she'd be his mark. "Step out of the vehicle, ma'am," Malone ordered, his voice dripping with authority he hadn't earned. Angela complied, stepping onto the gravel in her polished heels, her arms crossed casually. "Is there a problem, officer?" she asked, her tone measured, but probing. Malone ignored her, circling the SUV like a vulture. He'd done this before planting evidence to pad his arrest record. A small baggie of white powder slipped under a seat. Was his ticket to glory. As Angela stood by, Malone ducked into her vehicle, his gloved hand planting the baggie beneath the passenger seat. The dash cam's red light blinked silently, capturing every move. Angela's lips twitched, a flicker of amusement crossing her face. She'd seen this game before. Cops' flimsy setups. She'd busted cartels alone was child's play. At the Fairview PD station, Officer Sarah Jennings, a 26-year-old rookie with a moral compass, watched Malone's body cam footage sync to the system. Her stomach twisted as she saw him plant the baggie. Sarah had joined the force to protect, not to frame. She'd heard rumors about Malone's busts, but never proof until now. Her hands trembled as she hovered over the save button. Porting him could end her career. Silence made her complicit. She copied the footage to a USB drive, her heart pounding, and slipped it into her pocket. Unsure of her next move, Malone hauled Angela to the station, cuffing her wrists tightly, relishing his control. "Possession of a controlled substance," he announced, holding up the baggie with a smug grin. Angela didn't argue, she knew better than to escalate roadside. Instead, she memorized his badge number, her mind already mapping her counterplay. At the station, she was booked under harsh fluorescent lights. Her fingerprints smudged onto a pad, her purse confiscated. In the holding cell, she sat on a metal bench, her posture regal. Her mind racing. She overheard officers joking about her bust, oblivious to her identity. Angela didn't make a call, not yet. She wanted to see how deep Fairview's rot went. The next morning, the local news blared. Fairview woman caught with narcotics. Angela's identity as DEA director remained hidden, her face blurred in the grainy footage. In the cell, she listened to the officers' chatter, piecing together their arrogance. She smiled faintly, her plan crystallizing. She finally called her deputy director. Marcus Tate, a grizzled 50-year-old who'd been her partner in countless stings. "Marcus," she whispered. "I'm in Fairview. Get me the files on every officer here and bring Rachel Kim." Marcus, knowing Angela's knack for turning traps into triumphs, didn't ask questions. Meanwhile, Sarah's conscience nodded at her. After hours, she slipped into the evidence room, copying Malone's body cam and Angela's dash cam footage. The dash cam clearly showed Malone planting the drugs, his face unmistakable. Sarah sent an anonymous email to the county prosecutor attaching the files, her pulse racing. She didn't know Angela's title, only that an innocent woman was framed. Back at the station, Malone basked in his moment, the sheriff promising a calm nation, but cracks were forming. The prosecutor, Ellen Hayes, recognized Angela's name and escalated the footage to Rachel Kim, a U.S. attorney known for dismantling corrupt systems. Rachel watched the dash cam video, her jaw tightening. As Malone's actions unfolded, she called Marcus, confirming Angela's identity. "This isn't just a bad cop," Rachel said. "Angela's been tracking Fairview's opioid pipeline. This was targeted." The first twist landed. Malone wasn't just framing a random woman. He stumbled into Angela's investigation. For months, she'd been probing Fairview's role in a regional opioid network led by Victor Crane, a local kingpin. Malone's bust was a desperate move to throw her off. At noon, Marcus and Rachel stormed the Fairview PD with a federal warrant. Malone, sipping coffee in the break room, froze as Angela stepped in, her DGE gleaming. "Officer Malone," she said, her voice like steel. "You picked the wrong car." The station fell silent, officers exchanging uneasy glances. Sarah in the corner felt relief and dread. Had her email triggered this? Rachel played the dash cam footage on a projector, gasps rippling through the room as Malone's actions were exposed. The sheriff stammered, claiming ignorance. But Angela wasn't fooled. Her investigation had flagged the department for protecting local dealers. The second twist hit like a thunderclap, unraveling Fairview's underbelly. Angela's team, combing through Malone's phone records, uncovered texts linking him to Victor Crane. Malone wasn't just planting evidence for a promotion. He was Crane's enforcer, staging busts to eliminate rival dealers while protecting Crane's opioid empire. The baggie he planted wasn't cocaine. It was laced with fentanyl. A sample from Crane's latest batch meant to send a message. Angela, standing in the station's command center, pieced it together. She'd been tracking Crane for months, her DC briefings filled with data on Fairview's overdose spikes. Malone's frame job wasn't random. It was personal. Crane had learned of Angela's investigation, her identity leaked by a mole in her own agency. Malone, desperate to please Crane and the sheriff, had targeted her SUV, unaware of her dash cam. Angela's heart sank at the betrayal within her ranks, but her resolve hardened. She called Maya, her daughter, from a secure line. "Baby, I'm okay," she said, hearing Mia's worried voice. "But I need you to stay with Aunt Lena until this blows over." Maya, studying criminal justice, sensed the stakes. "Mom, are you taking them down?" Angela smiled. "All of them." She hung up, turning to Rachel. "We need to move on, Crane, tonight." Rachel nodded. Assembling a task force. But the mole's shadow loomed. Someone in the D was feeding Crane intel. Angela's mind raced. Replaying her DC meetings, her deputy, Marcus, was loyal, but a junior analyst, Tim Grayson, had been KG lately. She tasked Sarah, now her ally, with monitoring Grayson's communications. Sarah, emboldened by her whistleblowing, hacked into Grayson's encrypted emails, uncovering messages to Crane about Angela's movements. The betrayal stung, but Angela saw an opportunity. She fed Grayson false intel about a raid on Crane's warehouse, knowing he'd tip off the kingpin. That night, as Crane scrambled to move his stash, Angela's task force swooped in, catching him red-handed with 50 kilos of fentanyl. Grayson was arrested at dawn, his career in ruins. Angela stood outside the warehouse, the night air thick with victory and exhaustion. She'd exposed a corrupt cop, a dirty sheriff, and a traitor in her agency, but the cost was personal. She thought of Maya, vowing to shield her from this world's ugliness. As Crane was cuffed, he sneered at Angela. "You think this ends it?" She leaned in, her voice low. "It ends you." The task force cheered, but Angela's eyes were on the horizon. Already hunting the next link in the chain, the story's climax unfolded at a press conference. Angela's voice steady as she announced, "A federal probe into Fairview's police and drug networks. No one is above the law," she declared as Malone, the sheriff, and Crane were led away in cuffs. The dash cam footage looping on national news. Sarah revealed as the whistleblower joined Angela's task force, her idealism tempered but intact. Fairview's opioid crisis began to WNE, but Angela knew the war wasn't over. Back in her SUV, the dash cam blinking, she drove toward DC. Ready for the next fight. Love this story of justice and betrayal? Hit that subscribe button for more gripping tales. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from in the USA? Hey, let's see how far this story reaches. Stay tuned for more real-time drama exposing corruption and uplifting heroes.